about that. Oh, this is fatiguing. I'm spending energy doing this. I guess that's good. It'll make me sleep. Where was that? Michael Prescott. All right. Anyway, I guess I'll. Oh, there it is. Oh, and here's another near-death experience explained by carbon dioxide study. That's the title. If you actually read the article, it's one finding in the article. It's not like the big point at the end or the wow, we found out something. It's literally just something mentioned. It's like we also found that there was a large correlation between elevated CO2 levels. We don't even know how elevated. It doesn't say they have a massive amount or anything. It's basically just a minor little data point. But the title is Near-Death Experience Explained by Carbon Dioxide. I loathe that. It's like misleading headlines. Holy crap. That stuff happens all the frigging time. So, delete. Signs of no, that's another one of those. I think I'm going to pause for a second here, actually. No, I guess not. It'll kind of mess up my... It'll have to sit and process if I do that. Skeptico. Cybersearch. Don't know about that one. Oh, this was... Now it's another Fizzorg. I can't look at that one. Jacques Vallée. I don't know what that's just some crazy guy. Whatever. Obama hasn't changed, but where's the country that elected him? What is this one about? Blah, 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 blah. Not even sure why I put that one. Whew. Obama decided to do a certain amount of things or a certain set of tasks, and he seems to still be charging away at that, so I really don't know about that one. Oh, that's okay. Every time I go back to my bookmarks, it doesn't keep me at the same spot I was at. Scientists mine YouTube to study the effects of Salvia divinorum. Okay, I can remember what that one's about. Delete. Yeah, salvia is an interesting, another herb, or herb, I can't remember, it's herb, I guess. I don't remember the H is silent or not. That's very interesting. Actually, if I could get some, I would be tempted to experiment with it, actually. It's not, again, it's not harmful, it's not addictive. I'm a little scared of it, actually, because what it does is you take a very small amount of it. It's not like a party drug, even though people try it just in search of an interesting experience. But that was an interesting article because it was actually scientists were doing research. Well, whatever, but it was a paper. It was a scientific paper anyway. But what they were doing was there were apparently hundreds or thousands of YouTube videos with people having salvia trips. And of course, they just look like they're out of their mind, right? Because what it does is it's almost like, people talk about, the 60s, an LSD trip. Well, it's like having a super intense LSD trip in 5 minutes. It basically, you smoke a little hit of it or however you do it, and it's incredibly intense. It basically rips you from this time space, and like one guy said, he was trapped. He had a hit of it. Whew, he was in a 2-dimensional reality with a voice taunting him, like a perfectly understandable voice, taunting him that he would never get back to his ordinary 3D reality. And from his perspective, it lasted like a long time. I mean, talk about an intense kind of trip. So it's obvious. It's not like a fun drug or anything. Not like marijuana. It's like a complete head trip. But what's interesting, I've got another article in here that talks about how people are using. Well, people find that going on a hallucinogen trip often helps people with mental health issues. And it makes sense because it's a bit like surgery. You know, you're basically or kind of squeezing the pus. You know, instead of having all this psychic crap floating around and you can dodge it and avoid it. You know, you take something like salvia and bang, all of your shit gets put on display very intensely, and it's like you have this kind of horrifying, intense experience, but it gets you over it, you know, and you're better. So, you know, what can I say? It's an interesting thing. In a warmer world, Iceland's volcanoes may get even livelier. Right. Yeah, I think I just put that was because it was a climate change thing. It's just saying that another effect of warming is it melts ice, and in some cases it melts, you know, megatons of ice that's pressing down on underground, you know, pockets of air or pockets of magma, you know, just basically it's a pressure thing. There's colossal pressure exerted on the Earth. Ice melts. Some of that pressure is let up, and they're just saying that in some cases it'll make it easier for certain volcanoes to erupt. So, you know, it's a whole chain of effects thing, you know. Let's see. Doctors are giving a look at treating depression and anxiety with hallucinogens, right? That's what I just mentioned. So, leave that. Boy, we're going to be left with just Phys.org here. Okay, do a couple financial ones here. Now we know the truth. The financial meltdown wasn't a mistake. It was a con, right? And Goldman Sachs prosecution threatens to open the floodgates on Wall Street, right? Well, okay, and one more. Your SEC proposes Wall Street transparency via Python, as in you actually code your directives or your corporate whatever, your rules in programming code, which is kind of an interesting, very geekish idea. The thing is, I've known for quite a while, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people obviously know this as well, is that, yeah, I mean, it's like when people say that the whole Bush White House was incompetent, you know, and that's why all these disasters happened on their footing, and you got into Iraq and, you know, all this stuff. And of course, they play it both ways. They say, A, they're incompetent and, you know, helpless and everything, but B, they're not responsible for anything either, you know, because it's like, no, I mean, they've done exactly what they wanted to do. They've ripped off billions and trillions of dollars effectively from from the public. They wanted to, you know, they wanted to go into Iraq, and they used an excuse, you know, something happens. Oh well, it's Iraq. We'll go into Iraq, you know, and you know this whole stuff with the financial meltdown and all that. I mean, they have rules. They have rules that you can, or rather, lack of rules, but you can. I think this is still on the books. You can do things like post, you know, 1 million shares of something that you don't even own. And I'm not talking about shorting or anything like that. I'm talking about literally no one owns these shares. They don't exist. But you can type up an order or whatever, put it in there, and cause, you know, a company's stock to go up or down, or all this ridiculous stuff, which you know, even a trivial, I mean, anybody, an idiot looking at this, you know, if you put it in plain language, you know, well, you can just pretty much invent a bunch of shares, you can invent the amount, you can invent their dollar value, and you can put them in the system, and they act as if they're real for like 5 minutes, enough to cause serious damage to something. Even a moron would know that that could cause problems, and these people are not morons. They've graduated from the best business schools in the country. They know that this is wrong. I mean, come on. Again, it's that whole, well, they didn't know it was wrong. They're just the, you know, top financial executives in the entire country. They're like a bunch of fucking idiots, of course. They don't know anything. It's logically untenable, you know? No, of course they didn't know any of that, you know? Well, if they didn't know it, then they're incompetent, and why are they at their current jobs? It's one of those arguments where you literally can't, they can't win either way, but somehow they just get away with it because they have all the money, I guess. Anyway, but yes, all these crashes that have gone on, all of these various things, you know, I'm not trying to say they're all, you know, every single one of them is a big conspiracy, But again, it's not a conspiracy. That's what people don't understand, I think. It's not a conspiracy. It's business as usual.